everyone, this is Jason Barack of Wall Street for Main Street, and this is your video blog for Friday, July 23rd, 2010. Over the last few weeks, there have been some developments in the energy market, some very, very big developments. As many of you know, over the last year or so, China has surpassed the United States as the #1 purchaser of automobiles. Whereas most Americans buy their automobiles on financing, aka with credit and debt, most Chinese are paying cash for these automobiles. These are first-time automobile buyers, people who have never driven before, and they have saved up all of their lives to buy a car, or in the case of people in India, there are multiple families pooling resources together to pay cash up front for the automobile, so these guys can afford to pay for the gasoline and other stuff. Whereas here, here in the United States, a lot of the stuff is on credit. Okay, besides that, in the last week or two, it was also announced that China is now the top dog, or top energy hog, if you want to call it that way, if you're into alternative energy and sustainability. China is now the top dog for oil usage. I was reading only a month or two ago some analyst reports, some supposed China experts and energy experts who were saying that China would not surpass the United States for oil usage for at least another decade or two. So it goes to show you that a lot of the experts are often wrong, and you got to be willing to do your own research and put your money where your mouth is. One of my good friends, though, who actually did call this right was Kevin Kerr of Kerr Commodities and Kerr Trading. Kevin is a top commodities expert, and I am very proud to consider him a good friend. Because of the energy usage, because of the oil usage, that means oil prices are going to be, there's going to be a nice little bottom here because China's energy consumption is increasing at an increasing rate, as well as other emerging markets. So what that means is I really don't expect oil to be dropping. Oil's in a trading range right now. I don't expect oil to be dropping really below about $55 a barrel because of production costs and other factors, as basically a China put. Because China knows it needs energy to fuel the growth of its own economy, its own consumers. So that long-term is obviously good investments. I've blogged about that before. But today I wanted to blog about another alternative energy. As oil prices go higher, oil is mostly used for transportation fuel in most countries. In some countries it's used for power plant stuff still, like Saudi Arabia. But we need baseline generation power across the world. One of those good baseline generation power that has come a long ways in the last few decades is nuclear power, the nuclear option. So one of the best ways to play that is through the uranium miners. The uranium market spiked incredibly. I believe from 2003 to 2007, uranium prices went from about $8 a pound to over $130 a pound. That was very unhealthy growth. A lot of juniors that were not really uranium miners entered the market, flooded it. There was a lot of misallocation of capital and some other stuff. And during the credit crisis crash, uranium cratered. It started cratering before then, but it cratered even further. And uranium right now is only at about $41 a pound on the spot market. That's if you want to go in there and buy a shorter amount of uranium. And those are the Russian satellite countries that are producing that uranium, producer like Uranium One and other stuff. So the longer-term market uranium contracts, uranium is going between $50 and $70 a pound, depending on negotiations, and that's where a nuclear power plant company or a government like China would go in and buy up 10, 20, or 30 years worth of uranium supply. So I think uranium is consolidating here. It's at pretty much a bottom here, and the uranium miners are looking very attractive to me. In fact, I bought a very small position in a uranium miner, Denison. Symbol D as in dog, N as in Neil, N as in Neil. They are pretty good mid-level, mid-tier uranium producer. Another top tier that's pretty much top dog and is a pure uranium play and also owns power plants for the energy generation is Cameco. Symbol CCJ. They have they're out of Canada, I believe, and own assets all over the world. They're a better pure play on uranium than Rio Tinto is, as Rio Tinto is a lot more diversified. So two of the top dogs are Cameco and Denison. Let's talk about uranium energy further, some of the pros and cons. Some of you who are a little bit older than me may remember 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl. Since I was young, I really don't remember any of those. Or some of them were before I was born. I believe one of them was 3 Mile Island and the Jane Fonda movie. Because of that, here in the United States, there is a not in my backyard syndrome about building a nuclear power plant, but the technology has improved greatly throughout the decades. One of the leaders now, the United States originally invented the technology after dropping, the nuclear bomb, and also the first nuclear power plants. The United States has over 100 nuclear power plants, but many have been in function for 20 or 30 years, and there is not any kind of good planning in place to restore them and rebuild them and make them modern. So that's a problem going forward. Those will be need to be replaced. China understands this, and India and other emerging markets understand this problem a lot better. The French nuclear power plant building company called Areva claims it can recycle 96% of the waste of uranium. They call it, they're able to do this with some technology stuff. It's blending and other recycling stuff. I would take a look at Areva as a way, because China is planning on building a lot of nuclear power plants over the next 20 or 30 years, and India is planning on building a few dozen, and the United States will need to replace. So Areva would be a very good option as well. And Areva also has the top technology, like I said, for being able to recycle the waste. Some of the other negatives about uranium, since we're going to be talking about the negatives and the positives for the rest of this blog, the negatives are most nuclear power plants use a lot of water. They are water hogs, and they require a lot of concrete and other stuff, which are also energy and water hogs to make. So those are, and also there's a regulatory thing. It takes a long time to approve a plant here in the United States. And like I said, there's a not in my backyard syndrome for many people. But the fact of the matter is, when the nuclear energy is produced, it is carbon neutral, and it is very cheap. Is right on par or cheaper compared to a coal-fired or natural gas-fired power plant. So nuclear power is definitely going to be one of our across-the-board solutions, whether you like it or not. Even if the United States does not build any more plants, I am still very bullish on uranium. There was a special last weekend on the Financial Sense NewsHour where James Dines, Jim Poplava, and he brought on 2 other experts to talk about it. I think you should listen to that. I will link to that. And I will link to an article on the Chinese doubling their uranium purchases. So everyone have a great weekend, and I hope you enjoyed this video blog. And 3 of the top uranium miners, uranium-related companies to take a look at for nuclear power and uranium mining would be Cameco, would be Denison, and would be Areva. And the Russians also just bought a large stake in Uranium One, but there are a lot of others. But that's all I'm going to be mentioning for right now. So everyone have a great weekend, and I am out.